Hearing the single tax out of the storm now lies with West Bengal Finance Minister Amit Mitra, who has been named the new chairman of the Empowered Committee on the State Finance Ministers on GST. But the goods and services tax is not the only bit of pending business before Parliament. So when Parliament convenes for the budget session on the 23rd of February, the Modi government is in for what could turn out to be one of the most challenging sessions in its regime. CNBC TV 18's Shereen Bhan spoke to MK Venu of Amar Ujala and Anil Padmanaban of Mint to try and get an idea of what might transpire during that session.
Is the budget session dead at the very start, given what we've seen happen with the JNU controversy being the big one, but other sort of problems that the BJP is facing, not just within the party but outside as well? Can we really expect any business outside of the budget in the budget session?
I don't expect any business to be conducted in the budget, Shereen, outside of the budget itself, which is a money bill. So they have the strength in the Lok Sabha. Because Shereen, I now have, I see a pattern before every parliament session, before at the start. There is something that happens which the government does, which unites the opposition and creates a huge polarization in politics. In the previous session, it was the raid on Kejriwal and, of course, the National Herald affair. And this time, it is what you've been seeing in the last 1 week. There is a whole debate on nationalism, which this government has kicked up. What sort of nationalism?
But are you suggesting there's some design to this pattern?
And then Shereen, I want to make a point. Yeah, I tell you what. I mean, I'll state facts before you. If you remember, in the monsoon, when the monsoon session began, and with all seriousness about looking at GST and various other things, on the second day itself, Ravi Shankar Prasad held a press conference accusing various state government chief ministers of corruption, Congress chief ministers. He had a press conference with documentation saying the Himachal chief minister, the cases against him, cases against Uttarakhand chief minister, also suggesting there's corruption cases against the Kerala. So the intent before a budget session is not to sort of get cooperation of the opposition.
Let's see if Anil can help out on that. Anil, what do you make of this pattern that Venu is suggesting, that ahead of every budget parliament session, we've actually seen the government move in a certain way that unites the opposition and derails the session itself?
Shereen, I don't buy into any conspiracy theories. Like Venu himself said, he can't explain any rationale. He's just stringing together a series of coincidences that have come up. I think there's a larger message here beyond these incidents. Is that one, there's a complete breakdown of communication between the government and opposition. And a lot of this is a manifestation of that. So, and if you step back and look, I don't think even if these incidents didn't happen, whether the Congress would have allowed GST to go through in this session or cooperated with the government, because there is kind of what strategy or whatever it is on the Congress side that they are going to block things, block development. And the tragedy is that maybe the Congress strategy, but the tragedy is that the ruling party, like he rightly points out, at 282 seats, seems to have given up even without trying. Because the build-up to this budget session, you have, one, of course, it's a vitiated environment, extremely vitiated, which only reaffirms the breakdown. But the other side is you're not seeing any build-up, you know, where normally a budget build-up, you see that we are just moving to this budget as though it's a routine session. And I'm very surprised. So it seems to convey that this government is not even trying to get things off the ground, to get to speak to the opposition, to get some kind of consensus or build up, which is to me more surprising and very confusing.
Okay, so conspiracy theories aside, and of course, I think a lot of people would agree with you, Anil, on the fact that the government seems to not be sincere in its attempt to try and reach out to the opposition to actually get business done. But Venu, let's talk about the budget session itself, and let's talk about the GST. Even today, the government coming out, the Minister of State for Finance suggesting that they're hopeful that the GST will go through in this session. In fact, we've had the appointment of the West Bengal Finance Minister, Amit Mitra. He will now head the Empowered panel on the goods and services tax. But, you know, Is this all sort of, is the GST done and dusted as far as this session is concerned? Should we have any hope at all of any forward movement on the GST in this session or perhaps even in the next one, post-recess?
Shireen, I don't, the kind of political climate that exists today, I've spoken to many members of the opposition parties, and they are saying that when the parliament session opens, they want to raise the issue of this whole, the Rohit Vemula, what happened in Hyderabad University, and this whole issue of sedition being used to quell political dissent, and the JNU incident. And these are the issues which opposition parties are saying they would want the government to first make a statement on, even Prime Minister come in and make a statement on. And Shireen, more importantly, I have also detected, I don't know what Anil has to say, I've been speaking to a lot of BJP people. They're pushing for GST, and they see the benefits of GST in the medium to long term, but they also have this lurking fear that in the medium term, 1.5 years or 2 year period, GST could create some macroeconomic disruption in inflation and things like that.
So there you have it. As you saw on the graphic plate there were only 9 fruitful hours in the past monsoon session with 72 hours lost. Let's hope that does not happen in the budget session as it's just around the corner. But shifting gears from there, let's take a look at how indices are trading on